So as we've seen throughout most of these Charlie Brown reviews over the years, many of the first specials just kinda cobbled together storylines from the comic strips and did what they could to mesh them together for a single story. By the late 1970s, though, with the aid of people like eventual Garfield cartoon director Phil Roman, the specials began to branch out into more original works. There were definite bumps in the road, like It's Your First Kiss and What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown, but by the end of the 70s, it seems like they got the gist of how best to make a full animated story, as we saw with You're the Greatest, Charlie Brown. So much so that when Schultz decided to make another special directly adapted from the comics, it's clear he, along with Roman, knew where to make changes in the script to best fit the animation format. The result was She's a Good Skate, Charlie Brown, which remains one of my favorites from the Peanuts library, as well as one of the few that focuses on a character not named Charlie Brown or Snoopy. Let's get in. We open with Peppermint Patty figure skating on the frozen lake, with Snoopy watching, dressed like Vince Lombardi at the Ice Bowl, while... Is that Desiree Goyette singing in the background? I honestly am ashamed that I can't tell for certain if it's her or not.
And feel this way.
Well, Coach, what do you think? There's no one harder to please than a skating coach.
After the titles, we cut to what I'm sure are adaptations from classic strips involving Patty sleeping in class. Though with the unbroken rule getting broken as we get to actually hear what Patty's teacher is saying.
Patty, do you have the answer to problem 6? Patricia, you're asleep again.
Torch and pitchfork line to the left, people! Anyway, we do eventually get an explanation of why Patty can't keep it together in school.
I've been getting up every morning at 4:30 to practice skating.
That's crazy, sir. No one should have to get up at 4:30. Even the ice is still asleep at 4:30.
Fast forward to the next morning where Patty gets up at the crack of 4:30 and shuffles herself all the way over to Charlie Brown's house.
Hi, Chuck, it's me. Just want to let you know I'm here to wake up my skating coach. Go back to sleep, Chuck.
The look on Chuck's face is just priceless here. So Patty has to wake up a clearly not fully coherent Snoopy and lead him to the lake, where fortunately, even in a half-dead state, he has the sonar ability to avoid the foliage along the way, but is not conscious enough to stop before reaching the ice. So while he flops around as if he was Neymar on the ice, Patty proceeds with her routine of skating to a cassette-recorded cover of O Mio Babino Caro, which, yes, is going to be an important plot point for later, especially with Woodstock becoming enraptured by the music himself. And all of this leads into maybe the biggest reason this special just appeals to me: how much it expands on Peppermint Patty's character. If there's one reason I haven't really been on board with the suggestions that Peppermint Patty is a lesbian, it's because that kinda promotes the stereotype that girls must be gay if they are into sports. Here, we see Patty taking part in something that is still athletic and competitive, as we'll see, but also gives her the opportunity to be a bit more feminine for once. It shows how she doesn't always have to be the rough and tumble tomboy that can strike out Chuck on 3 pitches. Of course, that doesn't mean we don't get to see that tough side of Patty here as well, as we get this one scene where a bunch of young dude bros try to chase her off the ice so they can play hockey, and well, it doesn't go well for them. At any rate, Patty eventually reveals that she's been practicing for this big regional skating competition, which is pretty much what is being adapted from the original comics. This continues into Patty discovering a sewing machine in Marcy's house, and this is where she acts like the Peppermint Patty we all know and love, in not listening to Marcy telling her the machine is her mother's and not hers, and becoming convinced that Marcy can make her a costume for the competition. Out of denim! You know, the stuff they make blue jeans out of. Yep, she's still Peppermint Patty. Naturally, trusting someone who knows nothing about sewing to make her an elaborate costume goes about as well as you expect.
Maybe it'll look better after I get the sequins sewed on, sir.
Marcy, this is the worst skating dress I've ever seen. It doesn't even have any sleeves in it.
If you will recall, sir, I told you I didn't know how to sew.
Okay, she does have a point here, but I'd still say this might partially be Marcy's fault by still taking this on by herself. I know that Marcy has a problem with saying no to anyone, let alone Patty, but she still couldn't get her mother, who's the actual seamstress of the family, to help her out here? That's actually what ultimately happened in the comics, as it was Marcy's mother that came to the rescue in fixing the costume. Here? Oh, of course, it's Snoopy that comes through. Who else did you expect? And that's not the only variation this special goes with. The comic storyline ends with Patty entering the competition and completely embarrassing herself by destroying the skating surface with her skate blades because it turns out it was actually a roller skating competition. Yep. The comics simply used Patty to be humiliated like Charlie Brown usually would. While a number of readers might have found some joy in that, I actually like what they did in this special instead. Everyone heads to the rink for the day of the competition, and after we get some blathering from Chuck about the nostalgia of Zambonis, the actual competition starts. The first contestant has her routine to dance of the reed flutes from the Nutcracker Suite, and yeah, I don't think she's a threat in this competition. The second one proceeds to skate to a number I think one kid here knows pretty well. I really expected Schroeder to jump out and tear into that girl for embarrassing herself to his hero's greatest number. As the third contestant performs the best routine so far to a number I admittedly don't know, I do feel I should point out here how well choreographed these animated skating routines are. The animators actually used rotoscoping for the skating scenes, using a number of real-life skaters for the models, including Schultz's own daughter. So now it's Patty's turn, and you would think someone would call foul in the fact that her coach is the same creature operating the music for the competition, but Snoopy proceeds to show why that's not an issue.
Oh, no! That's her music!
Will she be disqualified?
Yes, if she doesn't have a spare tape.
But it is in these times of despair that a hero usually comes along. And in this case, the hero has yellow feathers, a habit of flying upside down, and an incredibly good musical memory. Yes, everyone, Woodstock steps up and proceeds to sing the whole O Mio Babino Caro for Patty. You know, I honestly don't know if the music itself is what's getting to Snoopy here, or if he's just that proud of his buddy coming through like this. So Patty wins the contest, everyone goes home happy, with even Coach Snoopy being able to give Patty a bit of praise, and we conclude with an end credits roll that includes footage of those aforementioned skating models. So yeah, this is one of the most underappreciated Peanuts specials out there. The story and music are incredibly fluid for something that was directly adapted from the comics, but more than anything, it does an amazing job humanizing Peppermint Patty. It shows her not as some perfect Mary Sue character who is just naturally great at everything, but as someone who actually works very hard at whatever she wants to be good at. And as the one who is often portrayed as the outlier of the Peanuts gang, it shows how she has the support of everyone around her, helping her to this victory. This special was all about Peppermint Patty's moment to shine, and the creators pull off the story beautifully. It's a nice touch that every so often, Schultz and company were able to make a cartoon special around one of the supporting cast members. Hopefully, we'll get another good one next time.